Good afternoon. Hi. My name's Ciaran Delaney. I'm the founder of MeetingsBooker.com. So during this session, we're going to discuss the online venue booking revolution and how it's affecting our industry. So today, automation has completely transformed our lives in all areas, really. If you think about everyday life, 10 years ago, if you wanted to meet the woman or man of your dreams, you went to a bar, you went to a nightclub to try and meet somebody, right? Whereas now, you're on your mobile phone, on Tinder, or using an app to meet the woman of your dreams. Even if you think of food, 4 or 5 years ago, if you wanted to get a takeaway, have some food, you had to walk down to the takeaway, get your food. Now you just use Deliveroo. And you're sitting at home on your couch and you pick your favorite curry, pay online, and it ding dong, it arrives at your door 20 minutes later. And automation has completely transformed the travel sector in particular. Today, if we want to travel anywhere in the world, we literally take out our mobile phone. And you can book your flights, you can book your hotel, Airbnb, all on your phone. One area I think that is just completely transformed by technology is booking a taxi. A few years ago, we used to have to ring the taxi company to order the taxi. And you used to be kind of waiting there in the morning, praying that your taxi arrives to bring you to the airport. Whereas now you just take out your app and use Uber, right? So all areas of business travel are now completely automated, except meetings. So booking a meeting venue is offline, right? And this is a 400 billion global market. So if you're organizing a business travel trip to London or Amsterdam or Paris, and you need a meeting room for 15, 20 people, you're literally going to have to ring venues and send emails in order to try and discover a good place to meet and then to book your preferred meeting space. So that's where MeetingsBooker.com comes in. So we've transformed that offline manual exercise of trying to find a place to meet into a fast, easy, automated, seamless experience on MeetingsBooker.com. So today you can search and discover over 125,000 meeting spaces in over 138 countries around the world on MeetingsBooker. And you can search, browse, pick your preferred venue, book, and pay for it online. So we've actually brought this massive meetings market from a manual process into a fast, easy online solution, like all other areas of travel. So what I'll do is I'll show you a short video now, which will show you how MeetingsBooker.com works from start to finish. So when you log into MeetingsBooker, you immediately discover a new way to book venues. So first of all, to find your perfect space, you put in the city of your meeting. And this could be anywhere in the world: Amsterdam, Paris, Munich, New York. You can then filter for your ideal venue. So you put in the number of attendees, you put in the date. And then immediately you start browsing unique spaces. So meeting spaces in hotels, co-working spaces, even museums. You can access special offers and then pick your preferred venue. Once you do pick your preferred venue, you then choose the meeting room to best suit your needs. And then you customize your experience. So you can choose tea and coffee breaks, your lunches, and even equipment you need for the meeting itself. Once you're happy with your selection, you check the cost, see how much you've saved, you pop in your credit card, and the meeting room is booked. Okay? So literally in a minute, you can search, find a great place to meet anywhere in the world, and book it and pay for it online. So we've completely transformed this industry from a manual process to look for venues and book venues to a quick online solution. So needless to say, this is changing how people are meeting and booking venues. And I think it's affecting the whole industry. But first of all, if we look at a meeting organizer as the first use case. So the reason why I set up MeetingsBooker.com was that I wanted a faster way to book venues myself. Okay? So when I was the head of internet marketing for Tourism Ireland in Dublin, every quarter I used to organize a meeting for 20 people. And I hated it, right? And I knew all the hotels. So what I did was I had to contact different hotels, send them the same information. I want a meeting room, this date, this time. I want coffee breaks, I want lunches. So I'd send 10 emails to different venues, and then half of them would respond the next day, right? And they'd send me PDFs. They love PDFs, right? So I just got loads of PDFs. Like, I just want a meeting room for 20 people. I don't want PDFs, right? So I get PDFs with menus and coffee breaks and lunches and this room, that room, and then I have to write back to them and say, okay, I like this offer, but can you send me a picture of the meeting room? Right, it'd be nice to actually see the meeting room. And then I have to wait another day to get a picture of the meeting room. So a guy was busy. I think we're all busy, right? We don't have time to be sending 20 emails to try and book space for a small meeting. So that really was the idea that led me to set up MeetingsBooker.com. And that's the biggest advantage we offer meeting organizers today. You can book a venue in a matter of minutes instead of days. And it's also available 24/7, right? So if you're Sunday evening and you're at home and you think, wait a second, I didn't organize my training meeting for next Friday, you can just go onto MeetingsBooker, take out your phone, pick a venue and book it. Okay, so it's available 24/7, and it's the fastest way to book venues around the world. The other advantage of MeetingsBooker, and again, this is something we're very passionate about, is to help people discover places to meet. So, I think that on MeetingsBooker.com, we encourage any professional venue to join. So we have hotels, we have co-working spaces, business centers, museums, even restaurants. So I don't know if anybody recognizes this venue. Probably one person does, but does anybody actually know this venue? No? So this is number 80 Clerkenwell Road in London. And it's actually a breather venue. So breather is a new type of meeting space, started in the US and Canada and now expanding into Europe as well. And MeetingsBooker.com is the first platform that they've started to load their venues into. So that's an amazing place to meet. Right? And that's what we do. We allow you to discover places to meet. So there are Hilton hotels, Marriott hotels, all the bigger hotel groups which are very competitive and offer very good service and product, but there's also a whole range of independent venues as well. Like we're in Shoreditch area of London. On MeetingsBooker we have loads of different venues around this location that are actually independent co-working spaces. Like Runway East Shoreditch, for example, which is an independent co-working space, really cool meeting space, and you can book them on MeetingsBooker. The other area we focus on is delivering value, right? And I think that in the meetings industry, there's a lot of discussion about pricing and how you can get better rates from venues, etc. And in some cases, there's a lot of people seem to think there's a black art to it. Some organizations have the ability to get better pricing, Whereas what we did was we said, okay, how do we deliver real value for people who need a meeting room? And what we did was we looked at other sectors. Okay, so we looked at how hotels are managing their bedrooms, how airlines are managing selling their seats. And really, in both cases, what they're doing is they have a technology that drives occupancy levels based on demand. So we built the same technology on MeetingsBooker.com. And what this does is it allows the venues to yield their meeting rooms. So, a hotel can join MeetingsBooker, and they can look at their pricing. And in most cases, most venues charge the same rate every day of the week. We say to them, what are your most popular days? And they say, well, Tuesday and Wednesday are our most popular days. Monday and Friday are very quiet for our meetings. So we said, why don't you set up a discount for Monday and Friday? And using our revenue manager system, the venue can do that in a matter of minutes. They can just set up a discounted rate for Monday and Friday, and then that dynamically presents on our platform. Or they can set up a special offer for lead time. So if the meeting's within a 2-week lead time, they can give 10% off because they want that meeting. They can also increase their rates for their busier days of the week. Right? So if Wednesday and Thursday are busiest days, charge more, right? Because that's where the demand is coming. You can actually the venue could probably make another 25% on those days. So really, with our revenue management technology, we're delivering value on the platform. And 40% of our bookings have a discounted rate or a free item. Okay, and this is an example. You can see this venue normally charges £600 and they're charging $474. The other area that we have tried to change in this market is the pricing for additional items. So some venues still have this dream that people are willing to spend £200 to hire a projector for a 15-person meeting, right? Which is like, that's what happened 20 years ago. Like, I could actually buy a projector for less than £200. Okay, so we say to venues, listen, if you want people to book your space, you have to think smart, right? You have to package your product effectively. So you can see here, this venue is giving free Wi-Fi, free projector. Like, the projector's on the wall. Like, they paid for the projector and screen 2 years ago, right? You don't need to charge every single person for the same product. Also microphone and lectern. So we try and encourage venues to be competitive with their pricing and give value. And let's be honest, in today's market, people want value and they want to have, they don't mind paying for a service as long as it's a fair price. So on MeetingsBooker, we also help meeting organizers who are booking bigger events. So like a 100-person conference with 100 bedrooms, for example. So on MeetingsBooker, you can also use our RFP system, where you can send your request to 10 venues in London to host your event. And the good thing about this system is it's also automated. So you spend 5 minutes, put in your information, automatically that's sent to those 10 venues. They'll log in and set up give you a bespoke quote for that meeting. And the advantage we have is that when we work with venues, they don't have to do any work for small meetings. Right? So the smaller meeting side, if there's a 15-person meeting, they just get bookings online. They just come in the morning and there's a booking for the next day. Right? So they've time. We've actually freed up a lot of their time, which means that they're able to respond to your RFPs. Right? They've got time to respond, because normally they don't. Normally they've got 2 sales executives in the hotel, and one of them is spending their whole day responding to quotes for small meetings. That's gone now at MeetingsBooker. So those 2 people can be dedicated to bigger events, which means actually that you're going to get quicker responses by using our system. So we've kind of discussed how we're automating the discovery and booking of venues. We've also discussed the benefits for the meeting organizer, which is the #1 person in our eyes, right? We want them to be happy. Because if somebody books on MeetingsBooker and they're happy, they'll come back, they'll spread the word. And that's why our booking volumes are growing month on month, and we've got a huge repeat usage. But equally, there's another person in this mix that's very important, and that's the travel manager. So global organizations around the world have travel managers. Does anybody know what a travel manager does in a large organization? Put up your hand if you know what a travel manager does. Okay. So a travel manager's job is to know how much the organization is spending on travel and drive savings. Right? So if you think of a major corporation, they could have 200,000 employees. They are spending millions on travel. And the travel manager is there to understand how much they're spending for accommodation, for flights, and for all areas of travel, have that reporting and data, and also drive savings. Whereas what we're seeing now is that there's a massive gap in relation to simple meetings. So travel managers don't have the capability to track their expenditure on simple meetings. And the GBTA is the Global Business Travel Association. So all travel managers are members of the GBTA. And they did a big research campaign earlier this year. And it showed that over 50% of corporations are not tracking their simple meetings. And a simple meeting is basically a meeting that can be done independently, right? So it's a conference or a small meeting that the person in the organization can just book themselves, right? It's not like an event like this where you need an event management agency. It's more like a 100-person conference with 50 bedrooms, or a 30-person meeting, a one-day meeting. So nice, simple meetings that have typically the same requirements, and the person is booking themselves. But what's interesting is that that's actually the biggest area of the meeting sector. So 50% of all meetings that happen around the world are simple meetings. So that's where the volume of meetings is, and that's where there's a massive amount of spend as well. But the problem is the travel manager literally doesn't have a clue how much they're spending globally on simple meetings. And when you think about it, their job is to understand how much they're spending on travel, and meetings is part of that. It's an integral part of business travel. So with our platform, we solve that problem. So we're working with corporations now whereby they have offices around the world, they're plugging into MeetingsBooker.com, all their employees have a username and password and can access the system, the centralized billing, and when they book, that data is brought back into a dashboard like this that the travel manager can see. And when they book a meeting and they make a saving, because of our revenue management technology, the travel manager can also see that they saved. So suddenly they can actually track how much they're spending on meetings. And they can also drive savings, because with our platform they can bring on all their preferred hotels, and those hotels and venues can actually load preferred rates just for that organization. So we've one company, for example, that has 8,000 preferred hotels, and they're all being loaded onto MeetingsBooker, and those hotels will be able to give them a specific rate to try and drive business from that company. So really what's happening is that if you work in a bigger organization and you need to book a flight, you log into the system and you can book. They normally have a system for booking flights, they have a system for booking hotels, a system for booking ground transportation, and now they're plugging MeetingsBooker into that suite of booking tools, allowing the person in that organization to also book meeting rooms on demand using our technology. So have we any venues here today? Okay. So a few venues. So when it comes to the venue, I'll kind of briefly kind of describe how this is changing the venues' lives, right? And my background is, one of the roles I had in the past was I was a director of marketing for a 1,000 bedroom hotel, right? So I know how hotels think and the key things that they need to deliver. So with automating meetings, it just gives hotels and venues a massive operational saving. Like, if there's a 20-person meeting, a member of staff is going to spend 45 minutes dealing with that inquiry. From the initial inquiry to sending the information, and the whole process end to end. So when I worked in the hotel, we had a team of 6 people that dealt with meetings and events, and 2 of them were dealing with small meetings. And the process was just so slow. Right? And they used to literally have to send emails backwards and forwards, and then they actually send a contract. Some venues are still sending contracts to sign for a small meeting, right? It's like a £500 meeting, and you get a 16-page contract. Like, you're not buying the meeting room, right? You just want to use it for the day, right? It's £500. So our system removes all that work, where actually that person does nothing. That event salesperson does nothing at all. They just get an email alert saying you got a booking, and it's done, right? The other area we've focused on is around payments, because for a hotel, half the work is actually getting payment for the meeting. Normally they send the organizer an invoice, which the organizer doesn't want, right? If you need a meeting room, you don't want an invoice. You don't want to get an invoice. Last thing the meeting room could be next week. And what are you going to do with an invoice, right? You have to print it out, you have to give it to someone in the accounts, you have to do bank transfers. Like, it's just hassle. You don't need it. You just want to pay, pop in your credit card and pay. So with our system, you just pay online, put in your credit card, expense it, and it's done. But the value for that for the hotel is that they don't have to do anything in relation to payment. The money just goes into their bank account. What we also do is we also help venues to sell direct. So they can plug in our technology on their own websites. So we have hundreds of hotels around the world that are using this to drive bookings direct from their website using the same system. And it's white labeled, it's designed for the hotel itself. And as I mentioned earlier, we also give them the ability to yield their meeting rooms, which basically means that they can drive bookings and occupancy levels for every day of the year for the meeting space. So what we're seeing now is that this is really taking off, and the hotels and venues are really embracing online technology, and it's rapidly developing. So like this year, we're doing integrations with 5,000 venues, whereby we're actually integrating into their central reservation system to present live availability. And that's just going to grow. So, 3 or 4 years ago, when we met hotels and we tried to encourage them to sell online, a lot of them used to say to us, people want to phone us to book. Right? And we used to say, well, sorry, nobody wants to phone anybody. In this day and age, everyone wants to just book online. That's moved on now. Venues get it. They understand the advantage. They see that they're getting more bookings. They see that they've got happier customers. So it's moved on from should we do it to how does this work and how do we make it happen. Equally, from an agency perspective, it's also changing how they're managing their businesses. So what we're seeing is agencies are embracing the technology. Like we've partnered with some of the biggest business travel agencies like Carlson Wagon Lee Travel, whereby they're actually automating the whole process for their customers using our technology. And we're adding more and more agencies on a weekly basis looking to give their customers a better service, really. Because they realize that their customers don't want to phone them, don't want to send emails. Their customers just want to book online in an easy way. And we allow them to do that by white labeling our whole platform. So what's happening is there's a new digital landscape emerging. So from a product that used to be sold completely offline, it's now becoming a digital product. And there are different channels available to the suppliers of meeting space. So we're powering bookings direct on their website. They're also able to plug into MeetingsBooker.com, which gives the venue global visibility to over 500,000 companies that are using MeetingsBooker to source venues. And they're also tapping into the agency distribution channel as well. So from being an offline, labor-intensive product, suddenly it's a fast, easier operational product for a venue, and also it's plugging into multiple demand channels to fill their meeting space. So we kind of get a lot of questions about, how does it work and what types of meetings are booked online. So we decided earlier this year to put together a white paper to kind of bring all the data, because of all the bookings we're getting around the world, into kind of one document, okay? So you can download that on meetingsbooker.com/meetingsreport and have a look at some of the detail around the trends we're seeing in this space. So I can cover some of the bigger ones now. So what we're seeing, first of all, is that hotels have a lot of competition. There's a lot of newer types of places to meet, and in many cases they have a very good product, very good pricing, and they're very technology savvy. So they're embracing our technology immediately. So at the start of the year, 52% of our bookings were going into hotels. Now it's 47%. Right? So that's an interesting trend. And I think it's down to meeting organizers. Right? I think there are plenty of meetings that we just want a cool venue in a particular location. If it's a hotel, great. If it's a co-working space, great. But you just want a cool place to meet that you're going to enjoy the meeting during the day and your attendees will enjoy it. We're also seeing hourly bookings grow. And again, thinking of it as a customer, you don't necessarily need to book a meeting room for the full day or for half a day. You might need a meeting room at Heathrow Airport for an hour, right? And you should be able to do that. You should be able to book a meeting room for an hour. But most of the more traditional venues don't allow that. But the non-traditional venues and the newer entrants, like the co-working spaces and business centers, do. So on MeetingsBooker, they're getting bookings. They're getting people booking the meeting room for 2 hours, and they're happy to sell it. Why not? They get a booking, they get the revenue in, it's nice and easy. So at the start of the year, our hourly bookings were 11% of our total bookings. Now it's 19%. Right, so it's nearly doubled in 9 months. So that's a very interesting trend. And again, that's customer-led. Like the main person is the customer. Whatever they need, the industry should react and deliver. The other interesting stat is that the lead time is very short. So the average lead time is 14 days. But actually 50% of our bookings are within a week. And I think that's just also reflective of our working lives now. You know, I think we're all literally deciding what we do on a business perspective on a week-by-week basis. People are getting an invitation to go to a conference the following week in Amsterdam or in Brussels and booking a flight, hopping on a plane, and going there, right? And we need meetings at short notice, and we're seeing that on MeetingsBooker. A massive, like half of our bookings are within a week. The most popular days to meet are during the week, right? So Monday and Friday are the quietest days for people to organize meetings. And that's down to, let's be honest, our own personal lives, you know? Like Monday is typically a day you want to get organized for the week. Friday isn't exactly the day you want to have a meeting, right? Friday is normally you're thinking about the weekend and you want to wrap up your week. So people are generally meeting during the week. There's not a lot, there's meetings on Mondays and Fridays, but typically it's during the week that they're the most popular days that people are meeting. So as I said, you can download that report. You can visit meetingsbooker.com if you need to book a venue. It's an open marketplace, so you can literally go in and search and book. No need to register, no need to set up an account. And so thank you very much.
If there's any Q&A.
How much does it cost?
Any questions will come up here.
Okay. So there's a question there, how much does it cost? Was that from which perspective? To somebody booking the meeting room themselves or the venue? All right. So both. So how much does it cost? So it costs nothing to the organizer of the meeting, right? So we don't charge a booking fee. What we do is we charge a commission to the venue, right? So it's free to use. You don't have to pay. You book as you normally do, and the venue actually pays us a commission on the bookings. Okay. Any other questions at all? No? Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.